Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, John? How are you? What is up? This is Stylist from the back room.
Am I supposed to talk
This
now?
week? Do we have a week this week?
It's going to be a great week. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? For those of you that live in Illinois, welcome to all four seasons in one day.
I know, right?
And yeah, we've got a great one for you today. I'm super excited because it's we're going to feature the onstage beaded weft hair extensions, which are my extensions of choice usually. It makes me super happy that we're going to get into this. We also have some news. We got some great things coming up for you guys in April at the ABS. I'm super excited. Should we get right into the news, or what do you wait? We have to check with you, Eddie. How's your week going?
What is it with you and checking with my week, man?
Because you threw me for a curveball the first time we ever did this when you're like, I've got no complaints. Life is amazing.
Okay, then I have too many complaints this week. I'm not having a good week.
Which any of us that know you on a even minor personal level all roll our eyes every time you do that. So, but yeah, let's get right into news. Okay. So first part of our news is and we've done this, we'll do this till the end of April, is our booth is 1506 at ABS, HTB Beauty. Please stop by, see us. Along those lines, I just got a notification that if you buy a 3-day pass to ABS, you get automatic 1-year membership to CCA, which is the Chicago Cosmetologists Association.
Wow.
It's kind of cool. I thought it was pretty cool. I got that notification. I have to add a caveat to that. It is not 100% confirmed. It was just a notification that I got, and I did not get a chance to definitely confirm that. But we'll let you guys know about that future on, especially in the Facebook group and stuff like that. Okay. So let's talk about long hair trends for the spring and summer of 2024. Are you ready?
What do you got?
One of my favorites, because it's the first haircut I ever learned, is the classic long layer haircut is going to be coming back into style. That true, almost Farrah Fawcett-ish layered haircut. Because for long-haired people, it's enabling them to keep their length, but it's also giving them a little more than just that chop and drop, right?
I love the transition into the styling. I love how we're just slowly transitioning back into styling hair. Hot tools are going to become important. Brushes are going to become important. You know, the angles and the layering, man, that's really cool.
And maintaining that long hair.
I love how you were talking about the treatments last week. So that is I'm all about that.
That is that's going to be really important for us as stylists, for us behind the chair. Is really keeping people being able to maintain that long, luscious hair that they have.
When are scrunchies going to come back then? You know, with all this long hair, aren't you going to need hair ties and hair accessories?
Scrunchies are back. We talked. Yes. And in one of the later news notes, there's something about that. You're jumping the gun on me because you see my notes. I see what you're doing.
I'm not. No, I'm telling you, I can't see the notes because I got to do this. I can't see the notes. I'm just excited about hair ties.
Hair ties, scrunchies. The big hot trend for spring, summer coming with scrunchies is going to be the mulberry silk scrunchies, because it won't put dents in the hair. It won't pull the hair if they just yank it out directly. And there's a lot of companies out there now that are actually making them in different diameters, not just for the big thick ones. They're making smaller ones, and with the silk, they can actually sleep in the silk, and it won't put pressure on the hair and actually and cause breakage and things like that.
Interesting. Very
kind of cool.
Okay.
Kind of cool. So next on our list and it's something that took me me personally a really long time to learn, is the long-haired shag.
Yeah.
I still remember the first one I ever tried, and it looked like a mullet. I had such a massive drop off.
It's such a fine line.
It is. It is.
It's such a fine line in the angle that you pull on it.
Yep. Yep. The long shag is going to be is what they're showing. They show it was seen a lot on during Paris Fashion Week. And with the shag, for those people with finer hair, finer texture hair, it's actually giving them more volume. And with that shag, if executed correctly, it is you can use it on every hair texture, from curly texture to that fine, thin, long hair. And once again, with that shag, you're getting activation, but they're also able to keep their length. And that is the biggest thing that you hear from your client. I want layers, but I don't want to lose my length, right? Is that one of the first things they say?
I want a haircut, but don't take anything off.
Right. I want to be blonde, but I don't want to see any warmth. And they're a level 2. So that's what we're going to be seeing more of. Is that long layered shag. And then for those of us that do a lot of color, we're going to have to really work our placements. We're going to have to pay attention to our placements with that shag too, because you don't want to leave any blank, any null spots.
I'll tell you what, that was one of the hard lessons that I learned early in the beginning in my career. You could bang out a haircut and have it look perfect, but if your color doesn't complement the layering and the style of it, it ruins the entire haircut. And vice versa too. You could have the most perfect color placement, but if you can't cut the layers properly, then all that color just looks like a bunch of skips going down the head. And
exactly.
It really, really shows off the discrepancy in the weight lines and such.
Yeah.
That's a bad day too. There's such a harmony between both. It really, really is. One of the bigger things that I'm personally seeing is toning classes. Our toning classes have been really busy. We've been selling them out one after another because it is the ultimate accessory to everything.
It is 100%. If toning has become a big part of what we do, especially color-wise, I shouldn't say especially, but color-wise, because really, really hitting that tone right on the nail head makes the big difference. And color placement makes a big difference with the haircut, and the haircut makes a big difference with color placement. They do. They work hand in hand 100%. And last on our news list, which goes along with what you were talking about, is it's not a new thing. It's called boho waves.
It's called what?
Bohemian waves. Boho waves.
Waves. Okay.
Where you're working with the natural texture of the hair, especially with our curly hair or wavy hair clients. Should say girls. Sorry, don't cancel me for that. But with the boho waves, and what they're using a lot of these antique type clips and antique type hair ties to go with this soft curl wave. That's what you're going to be asking for. Instead of beach waves now, they're going to be asking for boho waves, which is just a soft bend to the hair, very luxurious. And once again, like we were talking about last week, it's a wave that can actually go from casual to a dressy look too, depending on your hair accessory and how you truly style it. And
I'm going to tell you a story. You just made me think of something, man. Do you remember? I don't remember which Trend Command show it was. Do you remember Nicholas flew in and his luggage got messed up, so he didn't have his rollers with him. Like he didn't have his tools with him to be able to set the hair properly. And the one model in particular who he had chosen to do some kind of waves or curls on, and she came in and her hair was longer, far longer, significantly longer than what the profile shot was. So that was a mismatch. That was bad. The airline lost his luggage. That was bad. We have to, he wants to like set the hair, he wants to make the curls and stuff. I'm looking around. He's looking around and he goes, get me all the cans.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we're in the back room, so everybody's drinking pop and soda and stuff. He goes, get me all the cans, collect all the cans, pour them all out. Like we can't anybody drink. We don't have time for people to drink. Just pour them all. Because get me all the hairspray, and we're just spraying the can.
I remember that. Do
you remember that?
Because it was actually the three of us on one head of hair. I still remember that.
God, man, I love Nicholas, man. The stories, the ingenuity, the vision, the artistic vision and stuff.
Sure.
And this model, you would think like I was kind of freaked out. I'm like, we're literally putting Coke cans in this girl's head. This model thought it was the funniest and the most awesome. Like she could not get enough selfies,
Right.
Oh my God.
See, but that takes me back to my mother used to set her hair on orange juice cans. Remember the concentrated orange juice cans?
Oh yeah.
My mother used to, and the blue gel. She'd have the tub of the blue gel, and she would set her hair on orange juice cans. I still remember it. I remember to this day walking into the kitchen, looking at her, going, "What's in your hair?" But it worked.
You're totally right. I forgot about what I don't even remember what that was. It was like before Costco was even a thing. They probably got that tub from Restaurant Depot or I don't know, whatever depot for hair care. Man, that was just blue. Yeah, I think it was it just called blue gel? Like there was no name on it. It was just a tub of blue gel.
Blue gel.
Right? Man, that's right.
Yeah,
I hated those plastic rollers.
It was, the magnetic rollers were the worst.
Those were the worst. Yeah, and you'd have to slather them on there. Wow.
So then you stick them under the dryer for. Go ahead.
No, you were saying about the dryer.
Oh, because then you'd slap on so much gel, and you'd stick them under the dryer, and then like an hour later, it's still damp after all the alcohol dissipated from the from the curls. I'm
sitting there doing an elbow drop after you take the rollers out. I'm doing an elbow drop just to crack the gel off the hair to get the hair to bend back into, and then you'd have to rat the hair or how you say back comb and tease the hair.
Back brush the hair.
Oh, excuse me. Back brush the hair.
I still remember. And I always tell because it's my one reference point is the woman that trained me. I remember taking my mannequin, doing the roller set on it, back brushing it, and she would come with a tail comb, and if she could stick the tail comb in and pull the mannequin off of the stand, I did it correctly.
Yes. Can you imagine?
I used to go to the salon with my grandma. She used to take me out, and I remember the two lines of dryers, and you'd see all these women underneath it back in the old days, right? Where they all had ashtrays in the arms of the, but and then you'd look down the line at all the hairdressers, and they're all doing this, That's what they did. They did the weekly sets for their 50-cent tip.
So fast forward, now we're boho
waves, curls, and then what they're doing is they're doing ornamentation on them with some the biggest thing in thrift shops now are those old hair clips, like the old tortoise shell and things like that. That's what mentioned in the article that I found. But all these they're flying out, ornamenting the hair. I know you can't wait till they start braiding ribbon into the hair. I know you love that.
Oh yeah, that, and then we'll just bring back the feathers again too. Why not? Bring it on.
Hair feather, dude. Hair feathers were awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
So annoying. It was so annoying
until you ripped it out of the hair with your round brush.
Oh my god,
it was amazing. It was truly amazing. Come on.
It was cool. It was. So, cool. I do like hair accessories, so that is exciting. And doing the waves like that. So boho waves. All right, I'll remember that one. I like that one.
Boho waves.
You're hitting good news lately, man.
I love the fact that there's a lot going on with our industry. It's awesome, and we're not just staying with the status quo. I love that's one of the best things about what we all do is it changes so much from week to week, let alone year to year. How everything just is constantly moving. I love that. Because I
love that too, but you know what upsets me though?
What's that?
There's too many things coming all at once, and stylists. Why do we start confusing stuff? Like, why do we start? It's like we get one idea because there's too many options. We get one idea in our head. And all of a sudden, that's it. That's what we're doing from now on. This is the life. And if you don't do it this way, then you're doing it wrong. You're dumb. I don't get it. I don't understand this idea that there's only one way to do any type of hair or any type of specific hair.
Well, that's an interesting point that you brought up. Because that moves right into what we're going to be really focusing on today, and that's hair extensions. And really, people get misnomers locked in their head. I heard about this with this, and this extension is better than that extension, and you can't put extensions in your hair. Extensions will ruin your hair, right? How many times have you heard that?
It's insane.
It's
insane.
And it goes right along with, like we were talking about not that long ago, of the one bad tube of color.
That's my favorite. That's still my favorite.
That color line doesn't work. It's the same thing. All these companies just don't put this hair together, and they do zero research on it. And as usual, because people like to cut corners. Or even, I mean, because all my clients, they use exactly what I tell them to use on their hair, and they go home and they take care of it the way I tell them to.
Because she's been doing her hair forever, so she knows exactly what to do.
And yeah, exactly. So with that being said, I had a very long conversation with a client because she's having some hair issues, and she was talking about hair extensions. And I showed her, I actually had the onstage beaded flat weft. And I showed her, and I said, we don't have to put the whole weft in. We can segment it up and fill in where you're feeling thin. And it's zero stress on the hair. And especially because of the aluminum. God, I couldn't even think of the word aluminum. The aluminum bead, I said, it doesn't crimp your hair. It's not going to cause any adverse effects. And she's like, oh no, I can't. My other stylist told me that hair extensions are the worst thing you could ever do to your hair. And that, and we had this big, long, drawn out conversation. And then I have a young lady, we started to talk about her last week, who had thin, fine hair. And we put the onstage extensions in her, and it actually gave her an opportunity to give her hair a chance to grow out, and had zero breakage, zero stress on her hair, other than the normal natural shedding that goes on. They do get caught up a little bit, but other than that, her hair is absolutely gorgeous. And we took out her extensions the week before last, and she's going to go the whole summer without her extensions because she's very active, and she is, she's in and out of the lake all the time and stuff like that. And last year she had a heck of a time maintaining it. Even though I told her what to use, which brings me to a question for you, being the hair extension maestro that you are. What is the you have let me redo this. You have a client, you're doing extensions on her, and you start talking about what products to use. What type of products should clients be using to maintain their extensions? I'm talking about hydrating,
Okay.
I know for a fact that low sudsing shampoos is a big requirement.
Okay. So I now I understand your question.
Yeah,
The way you
didn't frame
started
that
phrasing
correctly.
the question, I'm like, which way are you gonna about to
Oh,
hit
I'm
me
going
with?
sideways on you.
I don't even know what's about to happen. The easiest way I describe it to hairdressers, equally as much as I do to the clients, if it's safe for a keratin smoothing treatment, it's going to be safe for hair extensions. You want a shampoo and a conditioner that is, most things nowadays are sulfate free. Sulfate free was a huge thing 10, 15 years ago. Nowadays it's pretty standard. Um, what people don't pay attention to is the chloride, sodium chloride. It's a salt. And that salt, not necessarily a bad thing, except when it comes to the care and the longevity for hair extensions and keratin smoothing treatments. And the reason for that is because it's an abrasive. So it's going to rub up, it's going to cause friction, it's going to beat up the cuticle a little bit, it's going to tear it up. Now, a keratin treatment goes right on the surface, so that gets tore up, and that kind of defeats, the whole purpose of that. Hair extensions live on the surface, so it's going to tear up the attachment area. Whether it's a tape, whether it's a keratin bond, whether it's a bead, it doesn't matter what the attachment area is. And then the hair itself is going to get dried out too. And here's something that people don't understand enough, and this is where a lot of these misnomers come from. Hair extensions are attached to your natural hair. So they're not going to get the natural oils or the natural conditioning that's going to be produced from your scalp to run down that length and that of the hair shaft throughout the hair extensions that are attached to your hair. It needs help. It needs product. So this whole thing of letting my hair air dry, okay, I've been using the right shampoo and conditioner, but I let my hair air dry because I heard products are bad. And if you let your hair air dry, then you have no heat. It's the most gentle way you can do it, and it's such a terrible misnomer. Now, I understand the argument because overheating is equally as bad too, but there is that happy middle ground. There's that happy medium. When you open your door, everything can get out, everything can come in. When you go home, do you leave your door unlocked? Do you leave your door half cracked open? 99% of the people out there are going to close their door and they're going to lock it. And 99% of those people are not only going to lock their door, they're going to make sure the deadbolt is, in addition to the regular lock on the door, the deadbolt is locked down as well, And then there are people that, in addition to that, have security cameras and stuff. They're going that extra mile to make sure that their home is secured, right? That's your hair shaft. That's what products and styling tools do. If you put a leave-in in your hair, that's like closing your door. That's great. But a leave-in by itself is not the end-all be-all. You gotta put, and that leave-in should be some kind of moisture or some kind of a hydrating. Okay, just having a standard leave-in that's a detangler and a standard UV protector. I'm not saying anything bad against that, but if you're specifically asking me about hair extensions, that's what you need to do. You need something hydrating. You need something moisturizing. All right. And then you should use some kind of a thermal protector. Excuse me, before the thermal protector, you should use some kind of styler. So when you go to blow dry your hair, or if you go to flat iron your hair, if you're going to go to curling iron your hair, you got to decide what that style is going to be. Straight, wavy, curly, some combination of both. That boho waves we were just talking about, right? It's the reason why people get weft type hair extensions instead of strands, because although strands will give you a lot of free range and movement and stuff, a weft is going to give you a nice chunk of hair. And every single person that does a wave or a curl wants a nice full curl. They want that nice chunk. So that's awesome. But you need some kind of product to help give that direction and movement. You need something to help that round brush. The round brush and the blow dryer is only purpose is to push surface moisture off that hair to dry that hair out. It's the product that's going to help bend and mold that hair around that round brush. No different than when we were talking about the cans and the rollers and then the juices, the juice cans and stuff. It's got to set that memory into place. So then this way the hair knows what you want it to do. Hair doesn't. We came up with this thing for class the one time. Science is fun, but science is dumb. The hair does not know what you are wanting it to do. The hair only knows what it's supposed to do based on the given circumstance, right?
Right.
You're using a round brush and a blow dryer. You're pushing surface moisture off the hair. You're holding that round brush for an additional moment for the hair to cool down around that round brush. You're telling the hair to bend. When you're putting product in there, you're telling the hair to lock in that bend. You're stay bended into whatever the shape you're trying to do, or smoothened out, whatever you're trying to do. So you need something hydrating or moisturizing. Say again, I missed you.
Smoothened, is that a word?
Smoothened, I get it. I'm all excited. I don't know.
So I just got a question for you, and it's an interesting question.
You get me going, man. You really get me going.
That's the nature of the beast here, my friend. I got a question, and it's a two-part question. Is how hot should my flat iron be, and what temperature, or I actually say, how hot should my blow dryer be? Wait, hold on. How hot should my blow dryer be, and what temperature should my flat iron be at when I style my hair / extensions?
I always goof your expression, but I'm going to try to use your expression because it's my favorite one. So if the blow dryer has, a max setting and that's good, then the max setting on the flat iron is gooder.
And just for those of you guys that have never heard this from the two of us, I always say, people say, oh, X amount is good, so more will be gooder. But it's a good. I thought it was a really good question. That's why I brought it up.
It's a fantastic question. It's such a great question. It's a whole class in itself trying to answer the damn question, because it's such a texture, density, and porosity is the only three things that matter. This is something I talk about with my clients all the time at the salon. Your type of hair. I sound like a broken record at the salon. The girls at the shop hate me because that's all they hear me say all day long. Anytime somebody asks me something, what is your type of hair? Anytime a stylist calls me for technical support, it's always my first thing. Paint me a mental picture. Describe to me the texture, density, and porosity of your client's hair. I'm trying to figure out her type of hair, because that's what matters. If you've got thin, fine hair, you need lower temperature. Lower temperature is going to do the equivalent of max temperature on thick, coarse hair. Okay? If you have thin, fine hair, could you use max temperature? Yeah. Is that the best thing? No, it's overkill. And I don't care about this argument of, I'll just do it quicker, I'll just work faster, or I'll hold the blow dryer further away. That's not what that's about. Okay? It's the science of it all. That's the only thing that freaking matters. So if you're blasting your hair to kingdom come, it doesn't matter how fast or how careful you were with it. You blasted your hair. You're still blasting your hair. So the temperature controls on a blow dryer, that's why they come in different speeds, low, medium, and high. It's why they come in different heat, low, medium, and high. If you have softer hair, you should be using the lower to the medium settings. If you have thicker, coarser hair, you should be using the medium to the higher settings. Okay. Why does everybody believe in a cool rinse or a cool, the cool shot on the blow dryer afterwards? It's because they're trying to compensate for all that excessive heat that they just did to their hair. And they're trying to seal that cuticle down. Heat will expand your hair. With a flat iron, 392 is the limit is the natural resistance of your cuticle. Man, I couldn't even remember my own language for a minute. If you go above 392, you start cauterizing the cuticle. That's it. Now, do we have to use higher than 400 degrees on people? Yeah, we do. Why? Because there are certain ingredients in certain products that get activated at certain higher temperatures. And at certain higher temperatures, that compacts those products into that cuticle to try to achieve a very specific result. That's the science. That's the technology. That's why it has to be done. Those are professional done services. Can you go on Amazon and buy a flat iron that goes above 400 degrees and it's labeled as a professional grade thing? Absolutely. That's just the world we're in. Does that mean you should? In my opinion, no. But that's my opinion. Anybody's going to do whatever the hell they want. And if it's available out there, then everybody should have access to it. But you should also have access to the education that comes along with it. And you should also be responsible for how you're using something. Everything is a tool. Every single thing in your hand to do something is a tool. Okay? So then you should be responsible for the tools that you are using to do whatever the activity is that you are doing to your hair in this example. So that's how that goes, And since we're talking about hair extensions, I'll tell you this, man. Hey, no, you got me all worked up. You really got me worked up. I had a client came in. She had beaded hair extensions on her hair. Now, I'm not going to say the name brand. That's not what this is about. The type of hair that client had should not have had that kind of beaded hair extension technique and or product. They were way too heavy, they were way too big, and they were installed way too chunky throughout her hair. The client's type of hair specifically was thinner. The texture and the density of her hair was thinner than the sections that were taken to install that hair extensions. And those beads were fatter, were larger in diameter than what her type of hair was able to support. That is why she was getting breakage. There was nothing wrong with those hair extensions. It was just a combination of that type on her type of hair. That's where the mismatch came through. Okay. So when she came in, all of a sudden she's like, oh, I was told to come get a consultation with you. And I was told I should ask for tape-in hair extensions because that is safer for my type of hair. Or excuse me, that is the safest for all types of hair. And I said, well, if somebody told you that, why are you in my chair? Why aren't they doing your hair? Oh, well, she's the one that messed my hair up. Like, the person who messed up your hair told you that tape-in hair extensions are the best type of hair extensions for all type of hair. Then why did she do beaded on you, man? She goes, oh, well, I wanted to try something out and I wanted something that was more reusable and I wanted something better than tape. I'm so confused. You just literally said tape-ins are the best type of hair extensions for all types of hair. And now you're telling me that you wanted something better than tape hair extensions. So that's why you went with the beaded hair extensions. How does that make any sense? Like, are you listening to the words coming out your mouth? I don't understand. It was just like a mind-boggling conversation. It was a who's on first. It was a who's on first conversation for about 5 minutes, trying to sort all this out. And at the end of the day, it came out to be the stylist who did her hair truly believed that the beaded extensions was going to be the best fit for what she was asking for. For whatever reason, the service got goofed. And look, man, crap happens. Things happen. So whatever, that happened. She went and did some research. She went on a couple of forums. She spoke to a couple of other people. She got a couple of opinions. And those opinions told her that she was wrong. She should not have used that tape-ins were the way to go. And so now, because she goofed once and didn't have a plan on how to fix it afterwards, she's just relying on what everybody else is telling her. And now she's lost all confidence in the matter. And she's lost all confidence in the matter so bad that she deferred her client to somebody else and sending them along with the message of this is what she has learned. It's a terrible scenario to be in. Look, you've had clients come to you with hair color from other stylists.
Once again, I always go with texture and density of the hair. That is my go-to, my first thing that I look at before I do anything. And then with the advent of me doing the onstage flat, the onstage beaded wefts, I've learned a lot over the past year and a half of doing them. I had a girl come in not that long ago, since we're trading stories and everybody, we all have them, but fine textured hair, and someone did track and sew on her. They put the horizontal braid in the back of the head, and then they sewed in this weft. I get what they were trying to accomplish, but the weft was so heavy, and the thread or whatever they used to secure that was like, that in itself was the diameter of like 3 of her hairs. You know what I mean? And it was so heavy and it pulled so much that it was actually, hair was coming out of the follicle. You know, it was just so much stress on her hair when I took it out, you could see where and she's like, oh, hair extensions are the worst, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, you don't, no. I said, allow me. And I had a couple of wefts that were left over from an extension job that were really close. I said, I'm just going to put these in your hair and I want you to wear it just for a week. Call me and then we'll set this up for you. And she went, okay. So I lined them up back here and kind of to cover up where those lines were. And a week later she called me. She goes, I don't care how much this costs. This is exactly what I wanted. And I went, there you go. But the misnomers that are out there because of just bad experiences, or and I'm guilty of it from time to time, not being completely informed of what's available to me as a stylist / artist. It blows my mind sometimes. But like I said, I'm guilty of it too, where, I get the blinders on and I know what I know and that's it. And I'm going to,
that has to fit for everybody. And, and that's the issue that happens.
And that's one of the biggest problems that I think that we all have, is that we get so stuck in our ways. And this is what's making me money right now. And I'll call it what it is. This is what I'm servicing my clients with, making me money with right now. Why do I even want to look in any other direction? You become very entrenched in your, this is where my safe zone is. Fortunately, I have you to remind me that I need to get the hell out of my safe zone with some of your crack ideas, but that's for another show.
I take those chances all the time, but that's the difference, is because you got to look at it this way. All right, we're talking about, if we're talking really for the type of hair, and especially for thin, fine hair, I don't know why I'm just stuck on thin, fine hair. single strands are going to be the best. That's just it. Single strands are going to be the best because it's got the most movement, it's got the most freedom, it's the most natural, and it's using the least amount of section. It's taking up the least amount of real estate section by section by section. So it's the least amount of tension section by section by section. Okay.
Right.
With wefts, I, in my opinion, the smaller the material, the less chances there are for something crazy to happen at home. And this is something I teach in class all the time. It's not about what you, well, it is part of it is what you're doing in the salon behind the chair during the service. But really, the real problem with hair extensions is, and you've heard me say this dozens of times, the real problem with hair extensions present themselves 3 to 4 weeks later. It's never when you first put it in. It's always after it's been worn for a couple of weeks.
Right.
And it's been washed for a couple of weeks and it's been lived in for a couple of weeks. That's when the insanity starts to pop out. And that's the problem. Okay. So in my opinion, the smaller the beads are, the better the chances are that nothing is going to happen. You know, everything will be great. It'll be a successful service. Since we're talking about the on-stage hair extensions, then they have the smallest beads. And especially for the wefts and for the strands, they have the smallest beads. And you mentioned this earlier. The material is an aluminum. It's not metal. It's not copper. It's aluminum. Aluminum is very soft. It's very pliable. It's also not going to rust. It's not going to mold. It's not going to get stinky or anything like that. The other nice thing about it is it's the least resistant on the hair because that material is so soft. So you're not going to have heavy friction or tension or pulling. When you go to remove it, the removal process is going to be a lot easier as well too, because here's another misnomer. People think wearing hair extensions is, if we're really going to talk about, if we're going to start some crap, removing hair extensions is what's damaging if done incorrectly. It's not applying hair extensions, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Applying hair extensions leads to problems during maintaining it and trying to brush it out. The removal process is the holy hell. If done incorrectly, is what can damage hair, you know, from hair extensions. So with being an aluminum material, it's so gentle and it's so soft. It's so easy to pop up. The client doesn't even feel you removing them.
Right. Right.
They literally have no idea. So that's really what that's about. The fact specifically with the on-stage hair extension brand, the beads are separated from the eyelets, from the weft material, from the sockets, from the whatever the attachment area you want to refer to it as. So because it's separated in that regard, the bead is a separate product. The hair extension, whether it's the weft or the strand, is a separate product. If something goes wrong, you just pop the bead out, you replace the bead, you put a new one in, boom, done, ready to go, next. During the removal, you just pop the bead out. You're never touching the hair, so you're never causing any hair shedding. You're staying away because the hair has grown out. You're away from the scalp, so you're never hurting any of the hair. You've got new growth to work with. It's fresh, full new growth. You're attaching it to that area. You're not going to have any damage because you're always taking fresh, clean, new hair. All right? If you're doing a weft, the weft has so many pockets in it that you can load up. Doing a weft hair extension on thin, fine hair is the game, is how much you can extend the gravity across that weft as even as possible. All right? It's not about put a bead here, and then string it up in between as tight as you can.
Right.
And I know I'm kind of crapping on the sew-in technique right now, and I'm trying not to, but one of my personal issues is if you don't sew it good enough and your beads are too spaced out for your anchor points, when it starts to grow out, that hair in between starts to sag.
Yeah.
And on thin, fine hair, then the whole thing that's holding up is how far apart you put in your anchors. Thin, fine hair cannot support that much gravity. It cannot support that much weight. It's like when you go swimming in the water, right? You go under the water. What did they say? Like every 5 meters or however, every X amount of meters, the water pressure like increases
Yeah.
tenfold or some insane amount.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Every quarter, or excuse me, every half inch your hair grows out, the amount of G-force or the amount of gravity, the amount of pressure that on that hair exponentially increases. It's insane. Science is freaking insane. It's fun as hell, but it doesn't know what you want.
You brought up something that I forgot. I wanted to bring up, and I forgot. You just reminded me. Is I remember one of the last times I was up at the office with you, and you had a girl call, or girl, a stylist, I should say girl, a stylist call about the removal of the beaded wefts, right? And I remember the first question and once again, I'm off on the side doing whatever I was doing, and I hear you go, "You're using a pair of pliers from Home Depot?" And I can tell the story, and if this poor person is watching, it's more out of care than anything that Eddie.
Well, no
Eddie
names.
goes,
Just don't say no names.
Eddie puts the call on hold, and Eddie was inventing curse words. He gets back on and goes, "So you don't have the removal tool?" And and I hear you go, "Oh, yeah, I know. You got it from Home Depot." And you spoke with her, and eventually she ended up buying the tool. And then I remember asking you about it like 2 weeks later, and you're like, "Yeah, she says it comes out so easy now by using the tool." It goes right along with my favorite subject in the world is manufacturers' directions are there for a reason. And my point being is using the right tool for the right job also goes along with what we're talking about, using the right extension for the right hair type. And the removal process it could be very brutal on the hair. But like you said, those beads are so soft that when with the removal tool, boom, 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 boom. My biggest complaint is I got to sweep up all these little aluminum things off the floor of the shop, and everybody and people that work around me yell at me because I track them everywhere. But and it comes out, and it's so funny because a lot of my clients go, "Wait, it's out," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's out." So I sing the praises of the onstage extensions. Used correctly, they are amazing. And like I said, I had that one client that we helped her grow her hair out. She is so happy. I mean, a bunch of her pictures are up on Instagram of, we put 18 inches of hair on her, with a double-sided weft. And she's a police officer, so she has to pull her hair back for work. She can't wear it down. And the past couple of times, when she's come back for a reinstall, she maybe lost 2 beads. It was amazing. It was truly amazing. And we got off on a tangent here a little bit.
No, you know what? Look, I'm gonna say it this way. Everybody has the technique that they learned. Everybody has the thing they invested into. Everybody has. You were talking about manufacturer directions, right? Following manufacturer directions matter. It really, really does matter. And people got to understand, things change. Everything changes. Material changes. Technology changes. The technique may be the same. It might be similar, but the products are ever evolving every time, each and every time. All right. And since we're on the kick about misnomers and things like that too, I understand people don't want to have 20 of the same thing. But this idea of I have something similar and that's good enough makes me mental. Makes me absolutely mental, okay? You want to use a plier because the tool looks like a plier. You want to use I don't know, like this thing of, oh, I have this brand's tool and it's similar enough to your brand's tool, so I don't want to buy that one. I'll just use the one that I have, But that brand's tool was specifically designed for that product.
Right.
It's like when we do a color and then we tell you to use color safe shampoo. Oh no, I don't know, uh, repair shampoo, repair fixes hair, just color safe protects the color. Like, yeah, it'll be fine. That's not really a good analogy. I don't know. It's like when people get a treatment done. Okay, here, keratin smoothing. Everybody does keratin smoothing. Not enough people do hair extensions to follow. All right. You spend $400 something, $500 something more or less, depending on the area that you're in. You do a keratin smoothing treatment on a client, and then you send them home with that brand's specific home care retail products to maintain that properly. And if they don't take that, then there's no guaranteeing that that treatment is going to last in that hair. How are you going to sit there and tell me you're about to charge somebody $1,000 or more or less to do a hair extension service, and you're not going to use the proper tools? You're just going to use some other off-brand generic thing, to complete a service, and then expect a client to go home and maintain it in some generic way because, well, that's, she's been doing hair extensions for as long as she's been doing it for, she's worn them for 5-10 years, hair extensions, so she knows. And I do all brands. She knows. Your homework this week, people, is go get educated. Go get educated in the brand that you're going to be using, in the product that you're going to be using, in the type of hair that you're going to be doing it to. Okay? And respect the process. It's annoying to have to buy new tools all the time. Yeah, sure, I'll agree with that. It's expensive to buy new tools all the time. Yeah, sure, I'll agree with that too. But that's the evolution of education. That's the evolution of your skill set. That's the evolution of your service behind the chair. All right. I drives me nuts and it drives me mental when people do the things they do um with the products they get, because they just don't pay attention to the brand or the tools that they're using. I mean, how many classes have we done? How many times have we done a class, or how many times have we done a program, and we get brand new bowls, we get brand new brushes, how many bowls and brushes do you have?
Oh my God. I have a whole shelf of them in the shop.
Why do you keep swapping them out then every time we have a show or a class?
I don't understand the question.
Every time we do a new program, we get new bowls, new brushes, we get new equipment, we get new tools.
Right.
Why not just use the old stuff? Why do we keep changing and using all the fresh stuff all the time?
Because it's designed to what we're doing.
That's exactly the thing. So that's my motivation of the week. That's my thing of the week is it's annoying to have 10,000 new tools and products all the time, but it's necessary for the thing that you're doing.
Oh, agreed 100%. I agree with you. That's a whole nother show, what you just opened, that can of worms you just opened up. But I agree 100% with you, and you hear me. We went into it in the class we taught on Monday. We are constantly evolving, and we need to know what we're using. Just because it's like a product that we've used before, it is not that product. Get the education involved with that product. If at least go to YouTube University and look it up and see how it's used, because our way is not always the right way. So
your way maybe not be the right way. My way is always the right way.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. I have your motivational quote for the week for you.
Ooh.
Since I got you all fired up.
I'm hyped up, man. Hit me.
You're hyped up, okay? And it's by someone that I have read about everything I possibly could about him, is Winston Churchill. Everything that man faced in his life just blows me away. And it lets me think that when I go through the trials and tribulations that I go through, that what I'm dealing with is nothing compared to what this guy dealt with. He dealt with a world war. Okay. Here, you ready? Success is not final. Okay. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue on that counts. So what that says to me is, yeah, I may be successful in some things, but that's not the end of it. I don't rest on my success. And when I fail, I get back up and I keep after it. And finding what's inside here to keep moving forward. And I think that ties beautifully into what we were talking about earlier about finding out the information, getting yourself set up to move forward, to keep your career moving forward and succeeding. And are we going to have setbacks? Heck yeah, we're going to have setbacks. Case in point, I had a color this week that I thought I formulated it right on the dime, and it was too warm, and I had to go back. But I had to go back and do it the right way. I didn't just put a Band-Aid on it, because in a week I didn't want this client calling me back going, it's orange again. She said orange, I saw warmth. Anyway, but I had to do it the right way, because I goofed up in my formulation, and it came out a little too warm. That's the same thing, is having the courage to face your adversity, own your mistakes, and really own up to things that we don't know about. I mean, there are times where I go, I don't know about that, but you know what? I'm going to find out for you. We had that lady that was asking all those questions in the class on Monday, and there are a couple of things that neither you and I just kind of looked at each other, and we both went, you know what? We'll find out the answer for you, and we'll get back to you. And actually, I sent those answers to her via email yesterday, just so you know, because we didn't really get a chance to talk yesterday. But success is not final, and failure is not fatal. It is the courage to move on that counts, and that's what I'm going to close out with. We're almost at the end of our time here. What was the homework again for this week?
Education and spring cleaning. Throw out if you're not using a certain technique no more, get rid of them tools, get new tools. It sucks, but it's necessary.
I have the drawer of things I haven't touched in forever, but the pack rat in me won't let go, and I'm like, I'm gonna need it someday.
I understand.
And with that, guys, please like what we're doing, subscribe, and share us to people you know. We greatly appreciate it. Definitely mash the subscribe button only once, Eddie. Yeah, you're never living that down. We'll see you guys next week. We'll have a fun-filled hour for you guys next week. And as always, take care, brush your hair.
Shut up. You're so dumb. So dumb.
You're welcome. I love that we get to watch Darren pace back